Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And apologies for the delay on the webinar. We are seeing the euro continue to go on and slip here, and we're going to get to some news quickly. But let's go on and take a look here. Bear with me. Here's the economic news. And at 8:30 Eastern, we're going to have building permits here in the U.S., okay? And one moment. And then at 10 a.m. Eastern, we'll have University of Michigan. Other than that, it's going to be relatively quiet. So, one moment. Move this out of the way. And get on with the morning bid. Let's get straight on to the markets. Market seems to have calmed down a bit into the weekend as the trade warriors finally take notice of the financial stress and recession warnings and tone down the rhetoric. Even though China on Thursday threatened retaliation for the incoming U.S. tariffs on about $150 billion of their goods on September 1st, it also urged the U.S. to meet it halfway. President Trump subsequently sounded less bellicose, too, talking up the phone-based negotiations and formal meetings next month, saying he expected the dispute to be short-lived. We've been here before, and of course, only for the situation to break down again, but it calms the horses for today at least. Markets were also helped higher by further indications from Beijing about fiscal stimulus to boost disposable incomes. With eyes now drifting to next month's expected monetary easing by the U.S. Federal Reserve and European Central Bank, futures markets are already pricing in one chance in three of a half-point Fed rate cut and more than fully priced in for both a 10 basis point cut in the ECB's main deposit rate and a resumption of bond buying stimulus. Next week's annual Fed symposium in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, are likely to cement those expectations. That said, the latest batch of the U.S. economic numbers were less than clear-cut, and U.S. industrial production disappointed again. But retail sales surprisingly picked up, contrasting yet again the trade wars' damage to manufacturing and industry with the performance of consumption and services. And we'll move on to the dollar. The dollar takes advantage for now, but traders still worry about global growth. The dollar held on to gains on Friday after surge in U.S. retail sales eased concerns about the world's top economy, but traders cautioned against reading too much into one piece of data, given the growing risk to the outlook. The greenback was on course for a weekly gain against the safe haven currencies such as the Japanese yen and Swiss franc. During Asian trading, the dollar briefly extended gains, and the yen fell as Japanese stocks erased early losses to trade higher, and as U.S. Treasury yields rose slightly. Data showing American consumers continued to splurge in July came as a relief to investors after the U.S. bond market sounded alarms about a recession. China on Thursday vowed to counter the latest tariffs on $300 billion of Chinese goods, but U.S. President Trump said any pact would have to be on America's terms, suggesting a resolution to the trade war remains elusive. Trump, also seeking 2020 re-election, made the economy and his tough stance on China a key part of the 2016 campaign for the White House, said any agreement must meet the U.S. demands. With that, let's go on and move into the bias chart. And we'll start here with the euro, which has continued to go on and slip. And this is what we're seeing. Our bias chart going to be our bias chart support right there. It's going to be actually, we've got 1079, but right there, just a hair there is right there, 1075. That'll be our bias chart support. And on the upside, will be 1122. That will actually be the there. Call 1123. 1123. Let's go into the cable. Certainly seeing a little bit of a rebound here in cable, and resistance is just going to come right there at the top of this ridge. 21, we'll call it 2162. And for support, same area we broke out of, which is going to be 2094. And on to the Aussie dollar. No changes here. It's going to be 68.16. The only, let me see if we can move this just a bit higher. Yeah, right there. Support will move up to 67.40. But resistance remains the same. And take a look at the Kiwi. Support's going to remain the same. Resistance, that's going to remain the same. Support and resistance will remain the same here in the Kiwi. I'll move on to the dollar CAD. Well, this kept it pretty much in check yesterday. We talked about this being basically not only the bias chart resistance, but a pivot. And we'll keep that there just in place, which is going to be 33.30. So we had that from yesterday. Support on the downside. We're going to keep this the same too. It's going to be this 32.54. That will remain the same here with the dollar CAD. And go on to the peso. We had 1965. We're going to keep that. The only difference is on the support. We'll move just a bit lower here, right there at 1948.7. That'll be support here. $65.8 will remain the same. And let's go move into dollar yen. Dollar yen is still trading relatively quiet. Not really any major changes here. If we can rally up a little bit higher, it's going to be 675. That may be a stretch here, right there, 661. And support, we'll keep it very tight, 601. And on to the cash dollar index. Looks like 98.34. Can actually stretch a little bit further all the way up to 98.41. And support's going to be right there at 97.96. Let's go and move into the cross rates. Having some problems again with Zoom. Hang on one moment. There we go. Couldn't get that bar to come in earlier when I was having those issues. Here we go now. We've got it up. So let's go and pull up the bias chart. really things have tightened up quite a bit, and we're going to put the resistance right there at 68.65. And we'll keep this the same here on the support, 68.12. And let's go move on to the euro yen. We've even slid back even beyond here as this euro yen continues. Obviously, with the weakness in the euro, has brought us even much lower here, and really the door's open to get down here. It looks like we have made it there, just 1766. There for 1835 on the upside. We've just about hit right here at the 50%. And that will be our bias chart support right there, which is 63.40. That's going to be 64. I should even drop this a little bit lower right there. 64.32. And go to EURJPY. Got 72.08. That'll be the support for today. And resistance actually moved down here to 73.01. We're probably not going to see that rebound until, if we can see the rebound till this next week. The bunds still remain at elevated levels here. And with that, we'll take a look here at the ASEAN. Upside will remain the same as 72.39, and same thing here on the support. They'll just move up just a bit higher here. We're still trading relatively tight range. So it's going to be 71.80. And then on to the guppy. Sterling pairs are starting to gain just a little bit of life in them. Just as one of the other pairs with cable, resistance is now going to be support, so that's 28.73. And resistance is right there, 29.59. And onto the sterling odd. Moving up, not as dramatic as some of the others, but gently moving up here. But the resistance will, what was just resistance now support, we'll move that just a little bit lower, which is going to be at 78.56. Actually, just a bit higher, right there. 78.70. And right there, 79.81. Back to the main screen, and we've seen, as I mentioned, coming onto a Friday, we've seen the euro under pressure, and I still have a euro here along here that added here, which is on this dip 11.10. So, but I'm not too worried about it. We are seeing some pressure, but if you look at the way that the market fell here, that's a small amount, so I don't mind holding it. We talked about this area here that we traded back and forth in the market. Folks were thinking, okay, we're going to break out. And we talked about how that range would fold into the 11.50, maybe a little bit lower. But as the market broke lower with this thought about the ECB using the bazooka, I think anybody that was long from this whole area here looking for that breakout basically caved in at that point. And so we're under pressure, and as we come into a Friday, there's no sense for the market to step in and try and buy in value. So it's about holding this area so we still have a chance. Like I said, if we can hold and we see if the bonds pair back, the bonds have come back a bit, but we can see a little bit of a follow through next week. Then we can see this market move back up, and I think potentially there's still that opportunity for that to move into. And I spoke in the daily round of back to the rebound area would be around 11.70. So we can still go and rebound. It's just that they're going to keep the market under pressure. There's no sense for them to let off that pressure going into the end of the week. We'll go in and take a look at the bonds right now. So you can see the bonds, after just a furious rally, we've come off quite a bit here on the bonds. We've come off, look at that, for 43, and we got up here to what, 79. So we've come off over 50 ticks here. Actually closer to about 60 ticks. But we still need for this market to pare back. That if we can get that, then we can get the euro to settle down. But there's no need for it to settle down right now. It's just going to remain under pressure as we go into the end of Friday. We are seeing starting to see 10-year yields move up higher. Also, they had bottomed out around this 1047, 1048-ish area. We moved higher, but the bonds would need to come in and pare back even further. Crude oil's moving a little bit higher also. So if we move back into the main page, coming into a Friday at the end of the week, the market's not necessarily going to be forgiving. No one's going to go and stand in the way of this, and we're seeing cable continue to move higher here. We still have a ways to go here, cable, but moving in, there'll be some here at 2173, a little bit of resistance. But cable's got, I mean, it looks like it's moving, but it's so oversold. I mean, if you look at this and you put things in context, you can see that this is barely a whimper. And we're coming into some solid volume area here, right into this whole 2156-ish area here. Other than that, it's really relatively quiet session. Dollar yen moving up a little bit higher also. And I'm going to get the bias chart posted. Sorry, apologies for the delay, and thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover.